Okay, so I'd like to start by saying that I've cheated. Uh, the word yashan translates to old in English, and I have translated that again to zaken. And I know that that's a mistranslation, and I'm cheating, but I'm American and I'm foreign, so forgive me. Okay, so this is about aging. The sun, my grandma, Steven Tyler, Jerusalem, rocks. These are things that are old. But actually, I too might be old because I'm 30. And I know that complaining about 30 makes me sound like a character from Friends. So excuse me for that. Even worse, it makes me sound like a BuzzFeed article. Something like 10 things that will make 90s kids feel old, or 21 things about 2017 that will make you feel old. These lists, of which there are many, contain facts like Harry Potter came out 20 years ago. Eminem's daughter is now in college. And Will Smith is now older than Uncle Phil was at the start of Fresh Prince. But my personal favorite, somewhere out there right now, is a child who was conceived to the song Milkshake by Khalees. That child is now entering the 5th grade. If this aspect of internet culture has taught us anything, it's that our generation is uniquely surprised by the fact that we are aging. But it's not just BuzzFeed. You see it everywhere. It manifests as nostalgia for the 90s on the one hand, and on the other hand, as sort of a naive investigation into the very concept of time, as if we assumed it just didn't apply to us. I would like to not be a part of this, but I am a part of it, because I too am amazed by the fact that I am no longer a child, and I too am puzzled by the increasing distance between myself and the pop culture landscape of my youth. But I'm not that old. And the problem with being 30, if there is one, is that it's neither here nor there. And I suppose that if I was 65, I could write something very nice about what it means to get older. But at 30, I'm not old, I'm just not young. Still, turning 30 makes me feel old. And it's not only this that makes me feel old. Something else in my life makes me feel old as well, which is that 4 months ago, I got into a new relationship. And my boyfriend, David, who's working the bar tonight, is 20. And I'll explain our age difference in BuzzFeed language. 3 things about my boyfriend that makes me feel super old. Number 1, my boyfriend was born the same year that Princess Diana died. Number 2, my boyfriend has never lived in a world where Ellen DeGeneres was straight. Number 3, my boyfriend was born the year that Men in Black came out in theaters. But a little more about this last one, because I went to go see Men in Black with my father and my brother at the Solomon Pond Mall Theater in Worcester, Massachusetts. They loved it and went to go see it a second time. They invited me, but I said no because I hated that movie. Which is to say that at the moment my boyfriend was born, I was not only seeing movies in theaters, but forming opinions about them. Still, when we walked together in the street, I imagined that we looked like an average couple, until, of course, he introduced me to his coworker, who later said to him, "Oh, so you're like into daddies?" I go back and forth about age. I mean, it's a natural process and maybe one that we have to accept and embrace with grace and dignity. But other times it seems like a sad, slow curse. But there is another side to it. Being old has certain perks, and being in a relationship with someone younger than me has given me an opportunity to experience some of these. According to my relationship history, generally in relationships I'm needy, paranoid, and crazy. But that's not the case in this relationship. Why not? Because I'm older than my boyfriend by a fucking decade, and being needy, paranoid, and crazy would not be a cute look. So I don't take it on. It's not my role anymore. And in the end, that's what it comes down to. Roles. Roles that we start out playing as a game, in which we eventually come to inhabit for real. And I think that's what all these BuzzFeed articles are for. They refer to certain realities which they claim will make us feel old. And inherent to this phrasing is the fact that while we may feel old, we're not actually old. In short, these lists perform an important function. They allow us to observe the curious reality of aging, even though we're still quite young. And perhaps this will make it easier when the day comes that we're not just a little old, and not just not young, but actually old. Old like the sun, old like my grandma, old like Steven Tyler, old like Jerusalem, old like rocks. And at that point, I think we will, as a generation, stop counting the years since the last Spice Girls album came out. Because that kind of nostalgia will just stop being interesting. We will have aged definitively, and we will have to deal with it. Either that or we won't. Because, of course, there's also the possibility that we just won't age, like Kylie Minogue. Because look at her. She gets older, by which I mean she continues to exist, but that's about it. She's just not getting older in any other sense than that. And maybe that will happen to me as well. And I'll stay young forever, and I'll always be beautiful, and I'll never, ever, 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 ever die. Thank you.